Okay, now we're going to start section 2. Revolution brings reform and terror. This information can be found on page 222 to 224. Basically, we left off with the people storming the Bastille, the people storming Versailles, making King Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, forcing them to go to Paris. The Parisians, the people of Paris, want attention from their king. They want the third estate to have a voice, and not just a voice, but the control of the country. When the third estate, as they called themselves, the National Assembly, took power, they basically did four things, and that's what we're going to be talking about today, the four things that they do. The first thing that they do is they create a document, and the document is called the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen. This document says that people are born equal and free, that all citizens should have equal justice, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the idea of liberty and equality. This all goes for men. By the way, for the women, it does not address their concerns. In fact, some of the leading women who pushed for equal rights, they ended up getting killed a year or two in the future. We will talk about why they end up getting killed later on. Well, anyway, this Declaration of the Rights of Man gets rid of the first and the second estate's special privileges. So everyone's taxed, everyone is equal, and there's no estates going on. It's an important document. Okay? The second thing that they do is, because they get rid of these estates, they take control of the church. Now this is a big deal, because it would be a big deal today. In the United States, we have separation between church and state. Churches don't have to listen to the government, and the government doesn't have to listen to the church. They're separated. And in this National Assembly, they say not anymore. The church is going to be controlled by the state. And if you know anything about Catholicism, that's a big deal, because the state's saying that they're the ones that are in authority, not the Pope. So a lot of people in the third estate say, "Whoa, what's going on right here? This is a big deal." And in fact, the National Assembly made this political cartoon. There's a lot of people in the first estate, a lot of clergy, a lot of priests in the first estate, and they were refusing to sign this document. You don't need to know what it was called, but it was called the Civil Constitution. And in this document, the priests would say, okay, we listen to the National Assembly first above all things. Well, a lot of priests refused to. And this political cartoon, if you notice, their noses are very long. Here's one of the priests' noses is very long, and you can see right here and right here, right here and right here and right here. These basically refer to these priests as the idea of someone with a long nose back then was a sign that they were Jewish. The most sought out group that was discriminated, that was looked down upon, were the Jews. This is well before Adolf Hitler. Don't think that Adolf Hitler was the first person that looked down upon Jews. But anyway, basically they're calling them unwanted. And you can see here that these religious leaders that are refusing to go along with the National Assembly and refusing to accept that the state controls the church, well, this is their fate. They're going to end up dead. They're going to end up dying. And this is a powerful image that shows the state controlled the church. And the third thing that they did, things do calm down once the National Assembly takes over. It becomes a constitutional monarchy. The king does have some power. It's not like the king is stripped from all the power. In fact, the king is given the right to have the executive power, that is, to execute the rules, and to make the rules go into effect. And so basically what you need to know is the king still does share some power. But there's basically three groups coming into the National Assembly. You have the radicals. You need to know these three groups. You have the radicals. They're nicknamed, a lot of the radicals are these people called the sans-culottes. These are people that are saying, get rid of the king. There's no need for a king. We need to do what we came out to do. Have the people control the government. All of it. The moderates are saying, you know what, let's make some small changes. Over time, the king might not have any power, but right now, let's make baby steps to this change. And the conservatives are saying, you know what, we still need a king. This is too drastic to say we don't need a king. Yeah, the people should have some power, but we need to still keep a king. And the fourth and final thing the National Assembly does is the biggest. They declare war on Austria and Prussia. If you remember Austria, and the famous girl from Austria, Marie Antoinette, well, Austria and Prussia were both run by monarchs, or both run by kings, and Austria and Prussia was getting ready to attack France. At least that's how the National Assembly perceived it, because they didn't want to see this. Austria and Prussia didn't want to see this revolution to spread into their parts of Europe. So anyway, long story short, and the National Assembly sees Austria and Prussia as a threat, so they do a preemptive strike. They declare war on Austria and Prussia, and things go really bad at first. The French Republic, this new founded government, is doing a lousy job holding back the Prussians and the Austrians. And the Prussian army is literally miles from Paris, and the Prussian general writes a note and sends it to the people of Paris that says, if you touch Marie Antoinette, if you hurt Marie Antoinette at all, we're going to burn all of Paris. Well, the Parisians, the people of Paris, say that's a threat, and we don't take well to threats. So it's an event called the September Massacre. As the Prussian army is coming closer and closer, and they're given this threat to not touch Marie Antoinette, the people of Paris sporadically rise up, and they just start killing all these people in prisons all throughout Paris. They kill people in the first estate. They kill people in the second estate. They want to make sure that they'll never ever be able to have any power again. And they basically take Marie Antoinette and King Louis XVI, and they hold them hostage. They make them become prisoners. And this September massacre is basically, you can guess it, was led by radicals. The moderates and conservatives are like, whoa, what are you doing? You can't do this. But the radicals basically take charge of the National Assembly. And this is an image that shows the September Massacre in the eyes of the British and other people around the world. Here you have the French people eating their own people. This is a head from the first and second estate, and these are the third estate people. Now basically these people literally aren't eating the arms and poking the eyeballs out of their own people, but it shows you here children eating the entrails of fellow British citizens. Is basically showing you the barbarian behaviors of the French people against their own people. So England is saying, look at these French people, they're out of control. Mind you, the French and the British do not like each other, so this is Britain poking fun of the French. So these are the four things that the National Assembly does. The National Assembly is slowly being taken over by radicals, and you can see that when the September Massacre occurs. But to quickly recap the four things. 1. Declaration of Rights of Man. Everyone is equal. Constitutional monarchy. The king shares some power. By the September Massacre, the king really doesn't share that much power. But at first, when the National Assembly comes in, the king shares power, and the state now controls the church. The church has no autonomy, no freedom. And lastly, they declare war on Austria and Prussia. So this National Assembly is now at war, not just against the first and the second estate, those who remain, but also with other countries all throughout Europe.